Hello, always Dizzy here. I'm back with a new video for round 4 from the 2022 Richmond Open. So this was the final day, day 3 of 3 from the tournament. And I actually managed to get a good sleep for the, I can't remember the last time I actually had a decent good sleep at a chess tournament. Well, literally years. It's very rare for me to sleep well at a chess tournament. I didn't have anybody knocking on my door at midnight. There wasn't anybody. There was nobody noisy next door, and I think I was just really exhausted from the previous day. So, oh, and most importantly, the bed was really comfortable. It was just, I don't know. They had like some weird, like padded. It's almost like a quilted. It was almost like a quilted bedding. I don't know. It was really comfortable. I didn't move at all. So that was good. Having a good night's sleep is important. So in this round, I was playing my second unrated player of the tournament. I had played a unrated player in round 3. And as such, I couldn't find any information about him online, any games or anything. Well, that's not true. He has a FIDE account, but he's not rated. And I think that happens when somebody plays in a FIDE rated tournament, but they don't win any games, or their opponents aren't FIDE rated, so that they're registered for FIDE, but they actually don't have a rating. So I didn't have any prep for him. My opponent was, I don't know, around my age, probably a bit younger, maybe 5 years younger or something like that. And I was white. Let's take a look. So, whoops. E4, C6. So I'm never going to have a bad day if someone plays a Carol Khan against me. It's one of the more enjoyable openings that I play against, and it never seems to give me problems. And if it does ever give me problems, then, well, I'll learn something. Hopefully I learn something either way. But long story short, Carol Khan is, I'm happy to see as white. So D4. And for some reason, after knight C3, my opponent thought for a little while here. He thought for 2 minutes, which was kind of strange. I'm guessing that because really the hot thing these days is everyone plays the advanced variation. So maybe he was a little bit surprised that I played the classical variation with knight c3. But I mean, it shouldn't have been that surprising to him. I mean, the classical variation is almost as popular as e5. So it was a little strange what he thought here. It was just 2 minutes, but still. And then he whipped out the rest of the moves. I was wondering what he would play here. There's basically 3 main lines here. The bishop f5, which is proceeding with the classical variation. There's knight f6, which I think it has a name like Tartakower. Is it the Tartakower? No, it doesn't have a name. No name. Which I find the most boring out of the 3. Actually, it's not boring, but and then there's knight d7, which is the modern or Karpov line. But he played the classical line, and right after I played h4, I thought to myself, I wonder if he'll play h5. Now, the main line here, pretty much the only move is h6, just preparing to tuck that bishop away. But some players, it doesn't happen that common, it's pretty uncommon, but some players will play h5 here, just not allowing white to play h5. I actually had somebody play h5 against me in a previous tournament, and I think ever since then, I changed my I prepared my repertoire against h5 here, um, and it's something that I encourage essentially. So, anyways, it's rare though to see h5, but he played h5, and I was like, okay, great, bring it on, because h5 is not really a good move. Um, most most players here at the top level will play knight h3, essentially with the idea of putting it on f4. But there's also just issues now that black has played h5. Like, it's harder for this knight to get kicked out, and now we're also attacking h5 ourselves if we get the knight on f4. And there's also like spots on g5 that we can get to potentially. So it's kind of a weird looking move. So I'm pretty sure that black was kind of just winging it with h5, or else he's not really booked up on the matter, because it's not really a great move. But I actually instead of playing knight h3 first, my personal repertoire prep is c3. Basically putting black in a false sense of security. He played e6, and now I played knight h3. The move is basically transpose, but I kind of like the mind games of playing c3 first. Oh man, my throat's already getting dry. Okay. He played bishop d6, and I thought here for a long time. I was really torn about my next move. Like, I felt terrible. I spent 11 minutes on this move, and I was really deciding if I want to play bishop f4 or knight f4, and it was a really, really tough choice. And I was really upset about it. Like, I think I was even just like, I was physically showing pain on my face. Like, and I'm not sure what my opponent thought, because it's like, it's not that crucial of a decision, it seems. So knight f4, I get the knight on the square we want, knight f4. And we're attacking h5, and we're attacking the bishop. So we kind of essentially force black to take, because if he doesn't take, we're going to take the bishop, and if he moves the bishop, we can take on h5. So black pretty much has to take on f4, and then we take, and we have our bishop developed, and we have the bishop pair. The alternative choice of bishop f4 instead, I had some concerns of, I think queen c7 was my concern. Because after queen c7, what am I doing? My knight is still on h3. I don't want it to stay on h3. And if I take and then queen takes, how do I get my knight to f4? I guess I played queen d2. But that was my concern. So I played knight f4, which the computer, if I turn on, did prefer. So looks like I made the right move. He took, I took, knight d7. I also thought here, for a while as well. Well, yeah, I thought for 12 minutes on this move. Yeah, this was, the computer likes the move I ended up playing. But I was really torn on what to do. Normally, in the classical Caro Kann, white plays bishop d3 and trades the light squared bishops off. But here, because I just thought that with this structure, that this is my good bishop, and I didn't want to trade it off. I really like this bishop. I thought, I can go woohoo, and yeah, that was my good bishop. So I didn't want to trade it off, and I didn't want to play bishop d3. So then I was deciding, well, what do I play then? And there's almost some tactics here, with like bishop g5. I forget exactly what I was thinking, but there was almost some tactics. Like if he blocks, Well, no, that was probably viable. um, yeah, I don't know. Like, honestly, I forget my exact line of thinking. I just remember spending a really long time on this move. Um, Probably Queen D2 was another move I was considering, but then I wasn't quite sure if I want to castle kingside or queenside. I think part of it is that I didn't want to castle queenside here because c5 is a common break in the carol, and my king is pretty exposed here, and this bishop is still looming. So I kind of want to castle kingside, but this bishop needs to move, and I don't want to trade it off. So then my bishop can go to e2 or to c4, but oh yeah, I remember looking at bishop e2 for a very long time. Yeah, that was the main, that was, yeah, a move that I was considering. And I forget what scared me away from it. I think it's fine. The computer, I just took a sneak peek at the computer. The computer likes bishop e2 as well. But I think just like after knight f6, well, I thought it kind of transposes, and then, so I was really considering bishop e2. I probably spent too much time debating on this move. Anyways, in the end, I played bishop g5. Because I think I was going to follow up with bishop e2, but I won't bore you with all of that. Okay, so he played queen b6, and I also thought here for a little while because this queen is actually pretty annoying. But yeah, I played queen d2, and he played knight gf6. I'm not going to castle queenside again because that's pretty dangerous for my king. So bishop e2, preparing to castle kingside. Now it's scary because we played h4 and there's h5 here. It is scary, so I do have some trepidation in castling kingside, but I think it's the right decision here. It's not easy for black to crash through and attack me. And once I castle kingside, I can actually start attacking on the queen side. So he castles queenside, and I castle kingside. He played e5 here, and I played a4. Yep, just attacking on the queen side. And holy crap. So at this point in the game, oh, did I miss a move? No, I didn't, sorry. Yeah, at this point, I'm already down to 40 minutes, right? Like we each start with an hour and a half plus the increment. I'm already down to 40 minutes. This is move 15. Like, I might need to start playing a little quicker. And like, yeah. Because I've used a bit over half my time already. It's only move 15. In contrast, my opponent here has an hour and 29 minutes. Wait, is that right? No, an hour 19 minutes. But an hour 19 minutes for black, 40 minutes for me. Okay, he played knight f8. Basically unleashing his rook against my queen and preparing to pivot into e6. And a5, queen c7. Here I wasn't quite sure. I was thinking, do I want to keep pushing? Because then black can put a stop to my attack with b6, whereas maybe it's better to just push another pawn, for example, and then keep this tension so that maybe I can break through another way, and so that black can't just lock it down. But then I decided to play a6, and he did play b6, because there's a few things. Like one, now this this pawn doesn't have to be babysat. I can kind of move this rook around if I want to, because it's not easy for him to attack the a pawn. And his king is really weak now. He's got b8, but endgames now favor me if I just trade everything off. This is a pretty good pawn, so I was content with his position. And the computer liked what I played as well. So after b6, I played queen e3, just getting off of the file with the rook and threatening e5. preparing to maybe put rooks on the d file. And then my opponent blundered here. Well, yeah, basically it's a blunder. And he played the move very quickly, like in a minute. So he was playing quite quickly, actually. And I noticed that in previous rounds that, in a previous round, because he was sitting next to me, he was in the board next to me, that he played very quickly. Yeah, so he played 96. And, well, that appears to just drop a pawn to me. So I took with the queen, which is the best move, because if you take with the d pawn, I think there was something about it. What is it? There was something that reason that this wasn't as good. I'm guessing it's because of takes. Let me put on the engine to save time. Oh, you know what? No, it's the other way around. It's the other way around. I should have taken Mr. D pawn. Was a little bit better. Yeah. So I took with a queen, but taking with a d pawn was a little bit better because of what he. Yeah, right. Because of what he played. Because of knight takes g5. Yeah, and I think with the other line, like I gain a tempo. Yeah. So I took with a queen so that I don't have this awkward pawn on e5, and also so that I wanted to keep this file shut down. He played rook d5, which I hadn't considered, and it bugged me because that's a scary looking move. Like now black can attack my king. So I was not happy to see rook d5. I played a move here which I'm a little proud about because I'm not sure I would. I don't know if I would play this move a year ago. Maybe I would have. But yeah, I played queen d2. It's just to me it's a scary move because we're going right where we. I mean, we're lining ourselves up with that rook. It's it's scary looking, like c5 and so forth, like doubling up, blah blah blah. But I felt my queen was okay. Black can't really exploit this yet, and the alternatives weren't better. I guess I had c1 and e3, but going to c1, I'm just going to have to move it again, and I'll probably like have to put it somewhere even more awkward. And if I go to e3, I'm just he's going to develop with tempo, and it didn't look right to me. So I actually thought it was best on d2. He plays rook e8, bishop f3, attacking his rook. Knight e4, takes, and played rook f1, which is scary because if you remember game 2, I actually played rook fe1. Wait, I forget if I was white or black. I was black actually, but yeah, I played a similar type of move in game 2, which was a major blunder. So it's a scary move to make, but rook fe1, f5, and like I'm feeling good here. Like I feel that I'm winning, and I am, because I'm up a pawn still. And my position is better because his king is worse than mine. This is a weakness. These are greater weaknesses. These are all weaknesses here. This rook is nice for him, but I'm up a pawn. So I was feeling good here. Rook e3, rook d7, rook e1, rook de7. Let's see how much time we're at here. Well, after 27. So my opponent here had 1 hour and 13 minutes. I had 19. 1 hour and 13 minutes. I had 19. So I'm old. Okay, queen e2, g6, protecting h5, and f3, queen f4, takes, 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 which I actually think I missed, to be honest. I was starting to get a little bit lower on the clock, and I missed that, and it bothered me because I'm like, oh my god, like I still think I'm winning. And by the way, these moves are all best, but it still made me nervous because like these two pawns, my exposed king, I thought, like this might potentially be a problem. Or at the very least, it's going to be more work than I want it to be. But I would still take white here any day of the week. Like white should just be winning here. E5, G5. And let's see. So now, yeah, I had 17 minutes. So not a big, no difference in the time. Now, the next move I made is a strategical blunder, which I had thought about at the time, but let me explain it. So I played queen e4 here, and I'm looking at the engine. The engine jumps from 8.5 to 2.5 or 3. Or yeah, so it's about a 500 center pawn difference. This is still winning for white, and one of the reasons I did this was to reduce the potential threat of these pawns and queen working together. And this forces a trade, right? Because he has to take, otherwise I'm taking on c6 here. I've got a connected passed pawn. I'm up a pawn. So like, again, white is completely winning here after this trade, but strategically it's a mistake because this is what happens, by the way. Because now we're in a rook and pawn endgame, and which are notoriously drawish. Now again, white is completely winning here, but I'm giving black some chances to draw. Some chances to draw if I don't play properly. So the computer, I think it wants to just contest the F file. And this is not a problem. It is scary looking though. I mean, this is why I want to trade queens, because this is the natural move, right? And if I put on the engine, and let me just lower the CPU usage so it doesn't delay the video too much. Like this type of thing is scary. Like if this comes, it's scary looking. Like I don't know if for some reason I played like queen f2, now like g3, right? Like this is a real headache. Or let's say I went, I don't know, here. Can he just push again? Yeah, I don't know. This is scary looking to me though. So, I mean, so in some ways I feel like my move was pragmatic in a way, but yeah, objectively it was not right. Yeah, I was influenced by my clock time. I still had plenty of time here. I had 16 minutes, but I don't know. I was worried that I might blow the game, and yeah, I was just worried about these pawns. But yeah, the bet I shouldn't have traded queen. So it's easier said than done, though. I mean, okay. Anyways, yeah, he took, which was the right decision. Oh yeah, I already showed these lines. Okay, he played rook e7. I did king f2, king d7, rook e3. I'm just trying to get to the f file and also stop him from infiltrating. And he went king c7, rook f3, rook g7. Yeah, and then time-wise, I was down to 12 minutes here. He had an hour and 10 minutes. I had 12 minutes. Which sounds like a lot, and it is. But remember, over the board, you have to, like, I'm recording the moves. I'm also recording the time per move. And I have to do that for my opponent as well. And I mean, it's plenty of time, but you start to feel a bit of a crunch, down to, but when your opponent has over an hour and you have 13 minutes, like you feel something. Okay. I played Rook F8, which was interesting. I could have played a lot of moves here, but I was trying to threaten A7. He played B5, which I didn't consider, and it really bothered me because it's like, what the hell now? Like, my move was good though. Like, this apparently isn't a problem, but it upset me. B5 upset me because I'm like, what the hell? Am I letting him get back into the game? Like, a few moves ago when I had the queens on the board, I was completely winning. And again, that's why it's kind of dangerous to trade queens in that prior position because, yeah, black, it's, as I said before, it's easy for black to, if I don't play, if I make some inaccuracies, I could find myself in a drawn endgame or worse. But this is apparently all correct. A key characteristic is that black actually can't venture too far away because of the c6 pawn can be hanging, right? Like, So, and then he also has to keep an eye on this pawn. So I brought in my king b6, rook f6. So again, threatening to take on f6 if he takes my a pawn, or on c6, sorry. h4, king f3. So I kind of lose the tempo there. g4, king f4. Hang on, I'm just remembering something earlier. Was it here? I forget if it was here or not. Yeah, I think, let me turn on the engine because I think here that king f3 was a mistake. Yeah. So again, I was kind of in a little bit of time pressure, but king f3 was a mistake because, like, my king doesn't actually need to help. Like, this pawn isn't going anywhere, and I mean, I don't know. I guess I was overly cautious. I mean, because it is kind of scary still, but it's going to take time for him to do that. Like, this will take a move, and then this will take a move. And then, I've got time to deal with that. I can understand why I played my move, but it wasn't necessary. Like, if I had played something else, computer actually likes rook h6 because this pawn can't move. Neither of these pawns can move now. It's actually kind of a nice move, rook h6. It also likes b4 and king e4. Yeah, so if he had played something like this, I guess I always have rook h6, or I can even play e6 now. Okay, anyways, sorry, making this video long. King f3 is what I played. But it wasn't necessary. But I was overly cautious. King f4, g3, rook h6, rook f7, king g5. The reason I played king g5 is I think I wanted to potentially take on h4 with my king so that my rook could, yeah, that was why. I wanted to keep the rook eyeing c6. So that was my thinking. Yeah, and that's what I did. Sorry, so let me slow down here. So move 46. So I was down to 6 minutes here. And my opponent had an hour and 9 minutes. So I only had 6 minutes. Okay, king takes g3, rook b3. And, I'm still up a pawn, but the a pawn is close to falling. But most importantly is I have this passed e pawn. I played e6 here, which wasn't the best move. Apparently, just bringing the king up first was better. But e6 is still good for white. check, king f4. He went king c7, check, king d6. And this is move 50 now. And I was down to 5 minutes. My opponent had an hour and 7. So that's the first score sheet done. Okay. And oh yeah, I should also mention that my opponent got up and brought a couple new score sheets because at chess tournaments, you usually just get one score sheet, and then if you need another one, well, at the nicer tournaments, the tournament director will keep the arbiters will keep an eye on your games and bring you a score sheet, but that doesn't really happen here. So, anyways, my opponent got up and brought 2 score sheets and gave me one, which is kind of what you're supposed to do. I mean, it's kind of rude to just get one for yourself. Yeah, but it was nice that he did that because he had over an hour and I was I had 5 minutes left. So I appreciated that. Where was I here? Oh yeah, so my opponent just played king d6. Sorry for the long video, but it's a long game. Yeah, I took on a7, king takes e6, and here I was down to 3 minutes, and I certainly felt that pressure because I made a massive blunder. You know, if I had more time, I'm not going to blunder like this, but I really play quite poorly under time pressure, especially when I have to write down the moves. It's for those of you that haven't played over the board tournament chess where you write down your moves. It's a different ball game when you get into time pressure. Getting into time pressure online is one thing, where you have your mouse you have your hand right on the mouse and you can just make a move and the clock immediately stops. Over the board, where you have to write down your move and your opponent's move, you have to hit the clock. It's different. Even with increment, when you're in time pressure over the board, it's a whole different thing. And again, I'm also writing down the clock time, which I probably shouldn't have. I might make an adaptation to that in the future, where once I get down to 5 minutes, I stop recording the move times, because that adds. Let's see, how long would that add per move? Maybe 5 or 6 seconds extra per move, but that adds up, right? In 5 moves, that's about half a minute. So it kind of adds up. So I think that might be an evolution in my play in the future. So once I get down to 5 minutes, I'll stop recording the time, the time remaining. So anyways, yeah, I blundered here because I played rook c7, which is a strange move. I guess my thinking was he can't play rook a6 now because I'll just take. But it's a strange move, partly because the king can just attack it, and now my rook has to move again, so I lose a tempo. And more importantly, I just win the game immediately if I play rook a8, right? If I put the engine on. Well, engine always said plus 2.5, but I don't know if that's right. Is it? I thought it was just... Yeah, now it's saying plus 4. Let me give it a little bit of time here. Plus 5. No, I mean, it's a win. Yeah, plus 6. Okay. But yeah, just rook a8, because the point is his king can't hide without having to spend a tempo to do so. Like if he starts running his king now, I can just give, is that right? I give a check, and yeah, and then I just push, and so basically I get a tempo by giving a check, because his king can't go anywhere. It's always going to get checked, and if he plays rook a3, I think, yeah, the same thing. I push now. I push a7, and his king can't go anywhere because it's always going to get checked. So it's the same thing, and I don't know. It's very basic stuff, but hey, I told you, like I play incredibly bad when I'm under time pressure. I'm basically just trying not to flag. Like I'm just trying to make a legal move, so that I have time to write down the moves, and my clock doesn't, my flag doesn't fall. So yeah, so I missed rook a8, and oh man, okay, it feels bad. It feels bad. Okay, rook c7, king d6, rook h7, rook a3, and at this point, I had 2 minutes. I was down to 2 minutes, and for the rest of the game, I don't really have. Yeah, I'm basically down to 2 minutes for the rest of the game. Okay, let me keep going here. A7, b4, rook b7, b3. And here I thought for a while, I mean, it felt a lot longer than it was because I only had like a minute or two. But I was debating, should I promote to a queen so that I can take on b3, or should I take on b3 first? Because if he takes the rook, then I can queen. You know, in hindsight, this is actually the better move because it gives my opponent a chance to screw up and take my rook. Like, you know, like he wouldn't, but it makes more sense, right? Because if I queen, he has to take the queen. This gives him a very, 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 very tiny chance of not paying attention and taking the rook. So I should have actually done that, but I didn't have enough time to consider it. So I promoted here and offered him a draw at the same time. And I thought there'd be a decent chance that he would accept, but he didn't. Which I don't blame him for because I was down to a minute or two. So it's possible for me to screw up when you're under this much time pressure. So I don't blame him for not accepting the draw. Yeah, I took here. King d5. And I was pretty confident that I could hold a draw here, even under time pressure, because I thought, you know, even if I lose this pawn, there's good chances of getting a Philidor defense. I'm not sure if I could get the Philidor with his king so advanced, though. It might not work. But yeah, so we need to hang on to the pawn. So rook c3, check, king e3, rook h8, check, and you know, I was starting to get slightly frustrated at this point because I was playing my moves quickly now, and my opponent, you know, probably, you know, should have recognized that I can hold the draw. But again, I don't blame him because I was under time pressure still. But yeah, he kept playing. But I didn't see it. So I brought my rook down. I just didn't see what he's going to do because my rook, I'm always just going to go back and forth here, basically. He can give me some checks, but, well, I guess I can always go here, right? If he gives me a check, I can always just bring the king up, and then just bring this rook up and down. So yeah, this is what happened. Rook h3, king e4, rook b3. I just, you know, lose rook. I'm starting to build. I was still down to 2 minutes, but I'm gaining a net of maybe 10, 15 seconds after every move because, you know, after writing down the moves and everything, I'm gaining a tiny bit of time on my clock. So eventually I'm going to build more and more time on my clock. But yeah, here, this was a draw at this point because my opponent then, you know, made eye contact with me and we agreed to a draw. So it was a draw. I don't blame him for playing that out because I was under time pressure. Now that was kind of painful because I was completely winning the whole game, like just completely crushing, and I made a draw. It was completely due to time pressure. So just a recap of the game. Yeah, he played this H5 move, which don't try at home, kids. It's not good. And I was prepared for it, right? I was very prepared for it. And then I got into a little bit of well, not a little bit. I got into actual time, real time pressure. He drops a pawn here, which compounds his problems. I made coming up. I trade queens, which was still winning for white, but I think objectively is the wrong strategical decision here. But you got to admit this is scary, right? I mean, come on, these pawns are scary. So, anyways, and this is just completely winning for white. I played all this mostly correctly. There were some inaccuracies that I didn't mention. Like here, all of this stuff was a little bit inaccurate on my end. But this is all winning. And then the key moment, this was the big blunder I made. I had to play rook a8. Rook a8 is an easy win because I'll be able to promote, and it's just an easy win. But yeah, I played here. Yeah, this is the only way to win, by the way. Like moving the rook anywhere else doesn't work. I think he can just go rook a3. Yeah, because we can't give checks and control this a8 square. So I had to have played rook a8 there, which yeah. Okay, but a draw. Even though I was winning the whole game, and it would have been nice to have converted, I actually don't mind the draw that much, because my opponent. Let me check. Hang on here. I'm going to check how he did in his other games. Yeah, but so I was okay with the draw. I would have preferred the win, of course. Hang on, sorry. Oh yeah, I'll do it this way. Oh wait, is that the best way to do it? Sorry, I'm just looking at how he did. How he ended up doing in the tournament. So he lost to a master in the first round, 2249, and then he beat a 1585, and then he didn't have a fantastic tournament, but his performance rating was 1519, so it's not bad. Having a draw is not bad. Anyways, that is round 4. I'll be back with round 5 soon, the final round. At this point in the tournament, after round 4, my score is 1.5 out of 4. Yeah, and I blundered every game so far in the tournament. Okay, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for round 5.